Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm back. Welcome back to the Conversations with Cogee show. And this is our I've Been Falsely Accused edition with me and Mr. Jeffrey Deskovic. Definitely support Jeffrey. Jeffrey's a good guy. Hey, this is my allied right here who definitely, we Batman and Robin on this situation, when it comes to, these falsely accused shows, definitely. So I'm going to go to you, Jeffrey. I'm going to tell you again, Mr. Lamonte Armstrong, thank you for being on today, sir.
You're welcome.
All right, Jeffrey, I'm going to let you take the ball right now because I know you got a very important meeting to get to today that can move us both forward, and I know you got to get to it so you can bring us up to speed, and you can say what you want to Mr. Armstrong real quick before you go.
Lamont, I'm glad you're home. There's no words to, express, to really encapsulate the loss that one experiences. I mean, the traumatic experience of being wrongfully imprisoned. There's been a couple of reversals that have taken place. I mean, one of them, a man was, in prison for 25 years in Alabama, and then another case was reversed on an arson case where it was all just junk science. His lawyer never challenged the scientific validity of that case. The man was incarcerated for 14 years. So we have a couple of more injustices that were corrected. I really believe, Cogee, I really do believe that we have the momentum on our side because I think all the awareness raising we're doing is starting to some extent, not to a larger, but to some extent is starting to seep into the judiciary, and I think that's how, it's a little bit easier for the next person with an actual innocence claim to prevail. I don't know how else to account for
right.
The 87 exonerations in the last year, and now we have these other two injustices corrected. I don't know how to explain it besides that.
Hey, you know what, man? Let me tell you something. The higher power is definitely in the house with what we're doing, and definitely in these cases. You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I truly believe that. Go ahead, Jeffrey.
Yeah. So, aside from that, I think that the prevalence of prosecutorial misconduct continues to be in the news, and the idea that we've created like a class of people who are above the law, who don't have to account for their actions when they break the law by withholding exculpatory evidence, and when this results in wrongful convictions. The spotlight's really being shined on that, and I think that it's going to lead to some changes. I think it's going to lead to some changes in the law. I mean, I'm hoping and praying that it does.
That's right.
Hey, guys, could I insert something?
Yes, you can. Go ahead.
Do you know the media here in North Carolina asked me a few questions, and one of the ones was they wanted to know that I think the prosecutor had actually framed me knowingly. Well, the fact is, I don't know, prosecutor, detectives, or whichever. The fact is, I was not in town the week the crime happened. The weekend,
Wow.
And to top that off, the evidence that freed me, okay, and the evidence that found the person that actually done the crime, that was all found in the police evidence room. Now, when my prosecutor was questioned by the same media that questioned me, he said, I never withheld any evidence from Lamonte Armstrong's case.
Wow.
So it almost leads you to believe, well, I guess Lamonte put it in you guys' evidence room.
Wow.
That's how crazy it sounds.
Right.
The same evidence that you had hid away, tucked away, same exculpatory evidence that you had tucked away in your evidence room is what freed this man. But you claim, that you you never withheld it.
That's sad.
Well,
I mean,
it's rough.
It's like, and I'm gonna go to Jeffrey real quick. Jeffrey, it's almost like the docket is so full. Let's hurry these on through real quick and get them in and get them out. Am I right?
You're right. It's like a machine factory, except as the point you stressed in the previous hour, these are throwing away people's lives.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead, Jeffrey, because I know you got to break out. But words of encouragement before you go, Jeff.
Words of encouragement are that everybody who's in the struggle, if you're wrongfully convicted, if you're still in prison, don't quit. I made it out. Mr. Armstrong made it out. The exonerees that have been on your show, and others who haven't been, we never quit. We wouldn't have been exonerated if we quit. Keep working your case. Keep going to the law library. Keep filing freedom of information requests. Keep getting documents, on your case, or police reports. I mean, sometimes, the requests don't go to the same person, so there's like a slip up, and they wind up sending you a scrap of paper that other people always wanted to have it hidden. There's new organizations that popping up every year that are engaged in this fight. I think that maybe 3 or 4 years ago, you ask the average person on the street, use the word wrongful conviction. I don't think they know what you're talking about. Now, if you say wrongful conviction, I think maybe 40%, maybe 50% of the people know what you're talking about. So, I think that there is changes. It is happening. It's happening way too slow for our taste, but it's occurring, and we just got to keep working at it. We got to band together.
Right.
It takes a lot of people to wrongfully convict somebody on the police, prosecutorial level, your defense attorneys. Not going all out to defend you, to the judges, and then to these jurors and the appellate judges. It's a lot of forces that come together. So it's a lot of forces need to meet that force and go higher than it. But if we work together and the cause is just, I think that in the end, you win.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. Now, can I get one more thing out of you, Jeffrey, before you go real quick?
Absolutely, Cogee.
Even though we have our attorneys, what's they called? Public defenders. Even though we have our public defenders and they overworked right now, but there really are some great public defenders that's trying to keep up with their docket load. But sometimes it gets hard, and like Mr. Armstrong said, good men fall through the cracks. Good men and women fall through the cracks because of the overload or having lack of money to have the right attorneys. But we definitely got to give our props to some of the, public defenders that really are doing their job and really are trying. What do you say to that, Jeffrey? And then I'm coming to you, Mr. Armstrong.
I think that there are good public defenders, but a lot of them are overworked. They have too large a caseload. I mean, in certain places in New York, for example, it's not unusual for one public defender to take on 120 cases at a time. I think it's a big problem in terms of not having equal pay for both sides. There's scant resources available to hire experts and to do investigation, whereas the prosecutor's office has almost unlimited resources. We don't have things centralized so that lawyers who do provide ineffective assistance of counsel, they remain in place to do the same again. And then I think that we have public defenders that are not that good. Some of them are worn down, some are jaded, maybe some were never really that good to begin with. It's like any profession or any walk of life or any race. There's good people and there's good people and then there's bad people.
That's right. You're definitely right about that. Now, what I want to ask you too, Jeffrey, the thing about it is, even if you got a public defender, what do you need to do your own self to safeguard your life and not just have your life in the hands of a so-called jury of your peers, your public defender, and that judge who's going to hit that mallet in the end? What can you do to safeguard yourself and your case, while you have a public defender?
You have to stay on top of your lawyer. Make sure they have all the information they need, any witnesses that can help you. When they tell you they're going to reach out to them, stay on top of them, make sure they did. Did you go and talk to him? Did you go and talk to her? Make sure you have a thorough understanding of the trial strategy. Ask what's going on with the investigator. Who are the people he or she has talked to. I encourage people. Too many times, Cogee, it's only once we've been wrongfully convicted that we turn to the law library. But I think if a lot of us knew half the stuff that we learned through the law library while our case was still active at the trial stage, we might not have necessarily lost the trial. So we'll get familiar with the law as well.
That's right. Way to break it down, Jeffrey. You're right about that, man. I know you got to break out, and I want to say thank you, Jeffrey, for definitely, being my partner, man, and corresponding with me on this show and definitely bringing a lot of things to life, in your travels that you run across all the time. I want to say, man, I love you, man, and thank you very much, my brother.
I love you too, bro. Thanks for having this show, man. And it's wonderful to have somebody as, passionate and committed to the cause that, wasn't wrongfully imprisoned yourself. When you write letters to people, you're looking for help while you're on the inside, and you kind of get a sense that, the world is apathetic, they're indifferent. They're just caught up in their own circumstances. It's only when we're personally affected that suddenly become aware, or suddenly too many of us suddenly now we want to get involved. Now we care about an issue, man. But, it's great, to have you with your passion. And, even though you were never wrongfully convicted, I hope you never are wrongfully. That's the worst experience anyone could ever go through. But yet and still, you care so much about the issue, just on the morale aspect of it. And that, my friend, is rare. That's why I'm so happy to be doing these shows with you. And, like you've been saying, we got some really good stuff that we're going to be doing to promote the show. And soldier on, man. Soldier on.
That's right. That's right, man. Well, like I said, I appreciate you, man. And we'll talk.
You got it.
All right, Jeffrey.
Have a good day, everybody.
Take it easy. All right. Mr. Lamonte Armstrong.
Yes, sir.
What have you thought about the show so far, sir?
I think it's you guys are definitely plugging a hole that's needed, and you're doing a fantastic job.
Thank you, sir.
I'm glad that you are trying to enlighten the public because there is so many people, as you guys said, maybe 50% of the people in the world today, when you say wrongful conviction, they know what you're talking about. Whereas maybe 15 years ago, if you say that word, they would have said, "What are you talking about?"
That's right.
They would have been totally clueless and knew not what was going on.
That's right.
Today, I do believe, like you said, about 50%, maybe a little more, today know what's going on.
That's right. They do, definitely. And, like I said, we've been putting in this work for a long time. So if they don't know, hopefully it's because they ain't heard. But if they don't know, if they do know, I hope they plan like they don't know. You get what I'm saying? Because number one, we need you to cure. We need, what? You might not want to put no money in to help exoneree, but you can just go to a certain website and put your signature saying, I want to help. You get what I'm saying? What's a signature if you won't give no money?
Exactly.
That's almost like turning a blind eye on a person you see getting raped, molested, purse snatched, or whatever, and you say, I don't want to have nothing to do with that. It ain't my business. No, it is your business, because one day it could be a part of your household. That's what I try to preach to people and tell them. This could be as close to your life as right now. You don't know how close this could be to your life, and you steadily riding around in your car right now, changing the channel because, here they go with this again. Yeah, but this is life and death we talking about. This is a heartbeat show. This show is about a heartbeat.
Absolutely.
So Mr. Armstrong, I'm going to ask you one question. Then I'm going to go to my team here, and everybody's going to ask you questions again, because they all got questions to ask you. We got people on the phone right now as well. So I want to ask you, when you was in jail, how did you learn to maneuver in jail, and how long did it take you to learn the games of prison, the life of prison life?
I was telling the governor, because the governor, when I met with him about this pardon thing, he asked me a couple of decent questions that no one else had asked. And one of the things was he said he could not fathom the idea of me doing all that time and knowing that I was innocent, and they kept playing the game in the courtroom and, this, that, and the other. Well, one of the things I did, I took the word and the suggestions of a couple of old-time inmates that were in prison. And I'll never forget. I was befriended by a guy with double life who had done 32 years when he got a chance to talk to me. And one of the things he told me, he says, I heard you tell somebody in the canteen line that you had a new life sentence. I said, yes, sir, I just got it 3 months ago. He says, look, man, he said, don't let that time do you. He said, you do that time. He says, and the best way to do it is get busy. He said, get you a job in here, stay busy. He said, and on top of that, study. Study, study, study. He says, and no matter what you do, same thing that Jeffrey said, don't never give up. And you know, what was his name? Coach Jimmy Jimmy V.
Right.
That died from cancer.
Valvano?
Valvano.
Yeah.
I tell people today, and I say, you know, it's one thing I take from Coach V, and that's this right here. No matter what you do, don't ever give up.
That's right.
And that's the way I fought for the last 17, 18 years of my life.
Mm-hmm.
I can't quit.
That's right.
You know, even though I rode upon closed eyes and deaf ears, I still kept writing.
That's right. That's what it's about. Definitely keeping it moving. So what we're going to do, that's right. So what we're going to do, Mr. Armstrong, we're going to go, you know, to our public right now. And then we definitely, you know, we want them to speak out. This is Foxy. What would you like to ask Mr. Armstrong?
Good evening, Mr. Armstrong.
Hey, how are you?
All right, how are you?
I'm decent, I suppose.
Okay. How did you feel when you went before the board? And tell us how does that, you know, how you can help people when they go before the board, what they should know and what they shouldn't know.
When they go in front of the what?
The board. You know, when you go before the board to see if you get released.
Just ask them the question over again.
Well, I didn't go in front of a board. I did go, I tell you what, I went, in North Carolina prison system, you are under the gun for a long period of time, and you're in what they call brown clothes. And you can either be in maximum security or medium security. And those are gun camps. Then, if you're lucky enough, then you make what they call honor grade, and that's called minimum security. Well, I did have to meet a board to go to apply and to try to achieve minimum security. And what you have to do is be within 5 years of a release date to be eligible for honor grade. And luckily, I met the board and made honor grade with a natural life sentence. And one of the things I told those people was this. I said, I'm not here trying to tell you people that I'm some angel with this halo above my head or anything of that nature. You know, I've been in some scrapes in here, and how in the world do you go through a prison sentence and not get in some scrapes? I said, but the fact is, today, I'm the best Lamonte Armstrong that you're going to ever see. I can get no better, but badly or sadly enough, I could retrogress. I said, but I fight hard not to do that today. And next thing I know, they put me out the room for 5 minutes, and when they brought me back, they gave me honor grade.
Oh,
good. Wow. Yeah,
congratulations. That's great.
Definitely.
That is really good. So how is your family life now with your...
Well, family life so far as... I got one brother that him and I, we have bonded pretty well. My other brother, we are sort of distant. Then my two kids, I talked to my son, I think it was yesterday. Matter of fact, I know it was yesterday. But my daughter's relationship and myself is sort of strained. And we were the closest when I was sent away. And that kind of hurts.
Yeah.
But hopefully, you know, we have room enough for improvement. And
That's
hopefully
true.
it'll happen.
Okay.
Okay, there it is.
Just keep the faith.
We got a big Blaze.
Hello?
How you doing today?
Doing pretty good. How you doing, Mr. Armstrong?
I'm doing decent. I'm doing decent.
Cogee, man. It's a good show, man. Definitely.
Thank you. Big Blades, what would you like to ask Mr. Armstrong?
Aside from being prosecuted, when you finally got convicted, what did this actually do psychologically to your regard towards law enforcement and the justice system?
It totally brought about, first of all, I have to use the word disbelief. It's not the judicial system that and this is not as brag, but I have a college degree. So, I know about our system. I'm a former school teacher, so I have been a part of this system. But this is not the system that I studied. It is not the system that I studied. So it didn't take me a long time to have all types of distrust for the system. And today, I really, even after being exonerated, and I'll tell you, the same people that withheld that evidence and hid it in the evidence room and all this kind of stuff, it was on the flip side of that, person that I think that should be given his props is a detective that was only on the force 15 years. So in other words, he came on the force after I was sent away to prison. But this guy is Mike Matthews. He's the guy that found the evidence, that decided to test the evidence, the fingerprints, palm prints, and all that stuff. He's the one that decided to put all that stuff back through the channels, retest it, and the guy that really freed me.
Wow.
I thought that was quite awesome. The same ones that put me away illegally, it took one of the good guys who wore a uniform, yes, to help get me out.
Wow. And you know what? And that's why I always say that, we can't overlook nobody because you never know where your help come from.
No, that's true.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So I want to go to my...
something, let me say this real quick.
Okay.
In the AA book, right? The 12-step book, it says there's a bit of good in the worst of us.
Right.
But there's also a bad in some of the best of us.
That's right.
So in thinking, and for those of us who have been not exonerated, but for those of us who have been prosecuted, we think that all detectives are the bad guys. Whether you did your crime or not, people that's just the way the system goes. You think they're the bad guys.
Yeah. And
I thought like that. But then I said, there's Mike Matthews. This is the guy that helped free me. And when he found that evidence, Cogee, if you really think about it, and I've done some real in-depth thinking about this, when Detective Matthews found that evidence, man, he did not have to turn it in.
That's true. You right about that?
You know that?
Yes, sir.
Let's just look at that. He didn't have to turn it in.
Yes, sir. You right about that.
He could have kept it hid the way it was.
Yeah, and just left it alone.
Okay, thank you.
Right.
Just left it alone.
Yeah.
We already got a body in the prison system. Nobody will know. They haven't known for 17 years. Yeah, this guy could have left that stuff alone, man. So I really take my hat off to him, man. He did an honorable job, man. This is the kind of people that you would think is protecting your life, my life, our families.
That's right.
This is who we think is protecting us.
Right. There you go. You definitely right about that. You definitely right. Now wait a minute. Let me go to another caller. Alan, man, how you doing today?
Hey, what's up, Cogee? How you doing?
You got it. What would you like to say to Mr. Armstrong? Mr. Armstrong done 17 years. He's out free. He's strong, like his last name says, and he's back on his feet and he's in society.
all I can say is keep moving forward. You know, don't let the past hold you back from anything. You know, just you know, our past is worth our past if we learn something from it, even if it's a negative past. If you learn something, you can move forward. You know, move forward. Now, you know, you can be in the wrong place, wrong time, you know, and be wrongly accused for whatever, you know. But now you just gotta stay clear of any doubts that, you know, could put you in a bad situation. And that goes for everybody, you know.
That's true.
And what you were saying too, you know, hey, you can't judge a book by its cover, you know. That detective, you know, he did what was right, you know, and that was just God using him.
He did the right thing. How about that?
Yep. That was God using him to do what was supposed to be done.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you know what, God wanted you free. He wanted you free to live your life, you know, like you're supposed to be living it.
Exactly.
You know, you know, we always got to remember, you know, those gifts. Where did those gifts come from?
That's right. And you know what, Mr. Armstrong, I guess it goes back to what I said earlier when I said, I'm coming right back to you, Alan, man, real quick. And Blaze, I'm definitely coming back to you. We got other people in the studio. But I want to say this real quick. It goes back to what I said about that conscience. I think the reason, Mr. Armstrong, I was sitting here thinking a minute ago, you said he didn't have to turn that in, but sometimes your conscience won't let you keep it back either.
Oh, how about that?
I mean, for real. Sometimes your conscience just won't let you do that, knowing that that's not the right thing to do.
That's a real statement.
That's right. That? So I'm going to go back to you, Alan, man, real quick. What else you want to say real quick? I know you're on a time limit. What do you want to say to Mr. Armstrong real quick?
Man, I'm just you know, educate the younger people, you know. Let them know what you went through so they won't go through the same thing. You know?
Exactly.
So if you can save a life and touch a life, touch it. You know? Because you never know. One day somebody might touch your life like you touching somebody else's.
It's real talk.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
There you go. It's real talk. Big Blaze, what you want to ask Mr. Armstrong? Then we'll go to our next one.
Well, how do you get past the psychological damage of knowing that you've lost 17 years and that last 17 years of your life could have been entirely different if it wasn't for the flaws in the justice system and the corruption that tried to put you away for something you know you didn't do?
Right, good question.
You know, and the governor asked me something of that nature, and this is my response to that. That inmate with them double life sentences that I befriended while in there that told me to get busy, he also told me, you know, he says, man, you have got to find some way to help somebody in here. And as you help people, your help will come. So this is what drove me, first of all, to the prison system's hospital. I worked in the hospital first for about a year. Then I got interested in the substance abuse program in North Carolina called DART. So I started to help other people and took myself off the pity pot. And as I continued to help others, and I think you probably heard Cogee say I went from being a drug counselor to a GED teacher. As I began to help others, that's where my help came.
That's right. I hear you. What you think, Big Blaze?
Well, I mean, I believe that it definitely helps. But I think when you were talking in terms of, like, conscience, not allowing you to put certain things behind, it kind of clicks with me. Like, sooner or later, you're just going to think, you know, what purpose did all of this serve? When I was in jail and I had to go get a job basically working for nothing and basically just being in the system for something I am not guilty of, how do you psychologically put it away in terms of your conscience? How does it help you get past it and live a better day tomorrow, you know?
Well, the fact is, I could not be consumed with the negative parts of that. I've told many people, my mom and dad didn't teach their 3 sons to hate anybody.
Okay.
So in knowing all of this, right, I went in the prison system, and some people ask me, said, well, how in the world did you do 17 years in prison and you a write-up? Well, one of the things I mind my own business, first of all, but second of all, I didn't go in there hating the police either. The guards, the correction staff, I didn't go in there hating them because they didn't do anything to me. You know, they were just following directions of whatever was on my commitment paper, which said life. You know, they were just following the paper.
Right.
So as I went about my time day by day and trying to stay in my lane, trying to be an inmate, and also trying to keep hate, resentment, anger up off of me so that I could live to see a better day. This is what I did. And I did it by helping other people and not so much concentrating on, you know, what the cards that I had been dealt. And I tried to help other people deal with their cards.
Right.
You know, because I was able to write letters and study law and stuff like that, then I helped other guys. And this might sound crazy, but I helped 2 guys get out of prison and I couldn't even help myself.
You know what? And, you know, Mr. Armstrong, one thing I'm going to say about you, and I mean that, man, you got a big heart. And even if you wanted to stay in there and be bitter, I don't think, from me listening to you these 2 hours, I don't think your heart would even let you do it. I mean that. And you know what? The thing about it was you took other people's burdens and you put them on yourself. Right or wrong?
That's true.
And,
That's
you know,
true.
you got blessed for it. They say those that give, they shall receive in time. You're right about that.
They shall receive.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, hey, you definitely put it down, man. And like I said, no telling how many other people, you the first words that roll out of their mouth when they talk about an angel that helped them. Like you said, half of them couldn't write. I didn't know how to write a good letter, and you did it for them. Maybe that letter helped them get through. Maybe that letter stopped a suicide that night. Maybe that letter gave them a couple of months more hope to hold on and just follow the prison system program to make it out. You know what I'm saying? Even though some people have short time, they could have been in prison for 6 months, had a 6-month bid, but if you've never been in prison before, that's like 20 years. You get what I'm saying?
Life. It's like life.
Right. Well, we got another person want to ask you a question right now, Mr.
Okay.
My name is Art, and I just have one fundamental question. And by the way, Mr. Armstrong, I admire you for your courage. And
Thank you.
And the average person cannot even imagine even being incarcerated and have their freedom taken away for one day. By a miracle, you survived 17 years, and you're stronger than ever. The fundamental question I have for you, Mr. Armstrong, is you spent you had 17 years of your freedom and your life and your livelihood taken away from you. Based upon your knowledge of the system, because the system failed you, obviously, is there any type of financial recourse for all the years that you spent wrongfully in prison of the monies that you could have earned? Is there any recourse that you're aware of that since the system itself was at fault with your circumstances, do you have anything to fall back upon to, in essence, to slam in the ethics of the system? Is there anything existing that you're aware of right now that the system may actually owe you money?
Well, the governor told me the morning that he called me and told me that he had just signed a petition of pardon of innocence for me. He said that you are now eligible for state compensation or a compensation package or something of that nature. I can't really quote how he said it, but that's what he meant. In North Carolina, I think they pay something like $50,000 a year for let's see, and they have a cap on it here in North Carolina for X amount of years, and then they stop. So in other words, a man that does 15 years makes a certain amount of money, and then the man that does 30 years makes the same amount that the man that did 15 makes, which I don't see where that's fair, but at the same time, that's just here we go again, that's the system.
Right.
Yes.
But the thing about it, too, also, That was a good question and good question and good answer. But the thing about it too, what I just was thinking about, how can you judge that on a man when you never know? Because even sometimes if you have lack of education on something, you always got that hookup, that person that knows somebody and say, hey, I can get you in working at Ford, wherever, a good paying job. And you might not have that experience for it, but you get blessed to get that job. So how can they determine what you would have made when they don't even know what blessing you could have got to get a job that overly pays you? You get what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying.
And that's how they doing the old 3-card Molly on you with that one.
Yeah. One of my neighbors that grew up in the same neighborhood as I told someone else the same thing. He says, they're not giving that boy, they're not giving that boy anything special. So because you can't say what that man would have been worth if he'd stayed out in the street.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. At first, I didn't pay it that much attention. But a couple of days later, I was thinking about it again, and I said, you know what? The thing that Mr. Waddell said about me makes a lot of sense. They can't really say what I would have been worth. I'm a basketball coach.
Right.
So, you got Coach K making anywhere from $4 to $10 million a year. Who's to say he's any better than me?
That's right. You right about that.
I admire him. I admire Dean Smith and a few other guys, but I'm just saying, who's to say their basketball mind is any better than mine?
That's right. That's right. You're definitely right about that. Now let me go back to Big Blaze. What would you want to ask him, Big Blaze, real quick?
Well, as far as everything that happened when you were in jail, when you got out, did it provide any additional stress? Was there a lot of inability to get work? Did it really affect your life of getting back into the real world? And was there a lot of anger issues that you had to deal with? Because I know most people, they go through that. And I was asking, did you go through that?
Well, the work thing, luckily, I got one, I think, let's see. I was hired July 10th of 2012. I was released out of prison June 29th of 2012. So I think it was 11 days I had a job. Okay. And I was hired naturally at the bottom of the totem pole pretty much because that's where I just come from. I came out of prison. And they don't care nothing. People don't care nothing about whether or not you're innocent.
That's right.
They forgot that, I had natural life. I was never supposed to have gotten out of prison. You see, that's what they failed to realize. He wasn't supposed to have gotten out. Why did he get out? That's the question that you have to ask yourself. They let a man out that wasn't supposed to have got out. Then evidently maybe he didn't do it. And then when you hear the governor says he didn't do it, it should make your head, ring and say, wow, how about this? But yeah, I was lucky enough to get a job early on, 10 days, 11 days, I think it was. And I've been working ever since.
Okay, that's definitely a blessing. So let's do this real quick. We down to 5 minutes. We're going to get one more question in to you real quick. Go ahead.
Hi, Mr. Armstrong. This is Art again.
Hey.
Based upon my original statement that I made to you a couple of minutes ago, there's a second part of my question in which when you go to prison and it's difficult to get a job because you have the felon after your name, but in your situation, since the system itself, whether it's because of all the corruption and everything else that goes along with it, since they were wrong, have you done anything that would have at least the felon situation taken away from your situation because the system itself was wrong, it was erroneous? In other words, to be taken off your record since the system itself was very, very fallible.
We got to move. Sure, it hasn't been done yet, but I think that petition that I've got right here in the living room of pardon of innocence, that pretty much does away with all that.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
That nips all that in the bud. And as I said before, I think in the media the next day I says, the number one citizen in North Carolina says that I'm innocent. So if he says it,
so be it.
So be it.
That's right. Leave it alone. If he spoke on it,
leave it alone.
Leave it alone. You got to leave it alone. Definitely. So, I want to say to you, Mr. Armstrong, you're willing to stay with us for the next hour, and you can hear our next, person that's coming on. We got a young lady here who's going to tell us about her 2 sons that's in prison and what they're going through right now. You're willing to stay on the phone and still be a part of the show if you want to, but if you got to break out, I understand. And hey, it's been a pleasure, for me to try to help you move forward now that you out.
Well, you know what? I have really enjoyed being a part of this show and listening to the comments and, receiving the questions that I was asked.
Yes, sir.
I have an assignment due tonight.
Okay.
At 11:59.
All right.
And I need to get on that bad boy.
Okay, well, I understand. Well, like I said, anytime we have these shows, you definitely can pass through and just be on my panel with me. You can be on the phone and you can just chime in to help other exonerees and to help our public understand what they're going through, just like Jeffrey does.
Okay. Let me ask you one question. Do you know about our conference that we're having in Portland on let me see if I got the date right, April 10th, 11th, 12th, and I think the 13th?
No, sir. No, I don't. But if you want to hold on, you can tell us about it in the third hour, and then I'll break you right out. How's that?
Okay, that'll work.
Okay. Or if you can do it in less than a minute, you can do it right now.
I can do it right now.
Real quick. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, last year we had the conference in Charlotte, but this year it's in Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
And we have about 3 days of conferences and seminars and this, that, and the other. And then what they're talking about is wrongful convictions and falsely accused people.
Right.
And it's a very big thing. It's put on by Barry Scheck and those people out of New York, who I'm sure Jeffrey knows a lot about them.
Yes, sir. Yes, he does.
And they put on a heck of a conference, man.
Okay.
And I'm already booked, and I'm going.
Okay. Well, you know what? If you can send that information to me, if you stay on the phone, my producer will talk to you right now, and you give her that information, I'll put it on my website and make sure I support it. All right?
Oh, okay. Good stuff.
And make sure you give her, your personal number, and I'll be giving you a call. And me and you, like I said, we're gonna stay linked up from here on out.
Okay. I appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you, sir, and I hope you enjoyed yourself today.
Well, thank you very much. I did.
All right. Well, you have a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.
And keep doing what you're doing.
Yes, sir. Yes, I will. And you know what? On your prayers and everybody else's, I'm going to stay on it.
All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. So, everybody, that was Mr. Lamonte Armstrong, who served 17 years. He's out now, back into society, doing great. I want y'all to stay locked in and tuned in. We got another great hour, another powerful hour coming up you don't want to miss. We'll be right back.